Arbor Human Rights Commission. Let's begin with a roll call of who's here.
Ghost vote.
Halloween is over.
Okay, roll call. Chair Stanball.
Here?
Commissioner Winkler.
Here.
Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Cohen.
Here.
Commissioner Garber.
Here.
Commissioner Bond.
Here.
Commissioner Pitzmeyer. Commissioner, Councilmember Edwin.
Here.
Councilmember Song.
Here.
Commissioner Jackson. All right, we're here.
Agenda. Oh, public comment. Is there
There's no one here for
no
public
one
comment.
for public comment? Agenda. Look over the agenda. Any changes? Linda?
I wonder if we could just spend like 30 seconds talking about the trespass notice, where we are on that.
Okay. And we put it as the first thing we talk about here with ongoing HRC work.
Sure.
So you would like that to go under?
Under follow-up on our ongoing HRC work.
Yep, I will put that into the agenda.
Anything else? Can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
All in favor? Oh, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, the agenda is approved. First thing on our agenda is to talk to our guest, Tracy Beard. Bird?
Yes.
Bird. And Tracy has a lot of, you're 3 weeks in here?
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
And you have a number of titles. The thing we're most interested in is the fact that you're an ADA coordinator, but also that you worked with the AATA for a while, and that's interesting too, because we're talking about disability, sort of what she sees as her role, where we overlap, what kind of resource, because we will use you, and we want to, so we want to know more about you.
Okay. Well, you hit the nail on the head. I have been here for just over 5 weeks now, and I did work for the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority. I was there for just about 9 years. I was the mobility services coordinator, but I worked in the paratransit department, so I did all the eligibility for the paratransit, all of the community outreach. But I also worked with individuals, specifically I was hired as the travel trainer, and so my primary customers were persons with disabilities or older adults, and teaching them how to ride the bus. So, but I also worked in groups too. So, and before that, I worked in low-income housing for 16 years, on the management side as well as the resource advocate side, 8 years at each place. So, but yes, I worked at government subsidized housing for older adults and persons with disabilities. So I've been in the field for a little while. As far as my role here at the city, yes, accessibility coordinator, ADA coordinator. I found whenever I was introducing myself as the accessibility coordinator, people thought I worked in housing. So I said, well, I used to work in housing and I could probably point you in the right direction, but this is what I do. I think that because this is the first time that the city has had an accessibility coordinator, of course, my job description says one thing, but you know how things can change and grow, and I really look forward to do that. For the first year, there's a lot of things on the plate, as you all know, in your jobs. But I see getting some things in order in-house with our human resource policies and such. I had mentioned earlier that I am creating a reasonable modifications procedure. There's a policy, but updating the policy and writing a procedure to go along with that for the city. And I have been reaching out to agencies for the last 5 weeks. A lot of the agencies I've worked with over the years, but introduced myself now as the accessibility coordinator for the city, because I think my role I'm not going to be able to do anything without the members of the community. You know, I think they're going to help me along in my job and in my role. And where I think we're going to overlap, and Leslie and I had talked about this, is that I know that y'all hear cases, grievances, and sometimes those are ADA grievances. What I would ask is, you know, the city does have an ADA grievance policy, which I will be taking those over. The clerk's office has been doing those, but I will be taking those over shortly. I will forward any of them onto you. I will let you know, or I'll email Leslie, or however you want me to do it. Let me know, and I will inform you all, as well as Kodai, of any type of ADA grievances. And what I would ask is, if you receive them as well, maybe we have that reciprocal agreement that we can work together that way. I am very excited to tell you, well, it may not be until 2025, but we will have a dashboard, because there was an analysis, data analysis hired in the DEI or office, or the Office of Organizational Equity, or the Department of Organizational Equity. So we are going to start collecting data on all of these things. So hopefully that'll be something that you'll be able just to pull up and be able to see in real time, different grievances and things that are occurring, and what we're doing, tracking how we can make things better. So, and with that, if you have any questions, questions.
I do. This
Yes.
is very fundamental. So is your job, the parameters of your job on city property and city services, or broader than that?
City.
Okay.
One of my biggest projects, and I'm sure you know about the transitional plan for the parks. I will be working very closely with the Parks Department and ensuring that not just physical space, but also the programs, services, and activities that they have are accessible. One of the things that I am looking at too is our Title VI plan, which includes limited English proficiency and ensuring that that we have documents and things in other languages. I don't know. Are you familiar with the LEP and what the guidelines are? So I have already recognized 5 languages of individuals of communities within our community that we probably should start looking at making sure we have things translated. So, but the parks will be one of my big projects.
Actually, a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
Because we talked about like translating some of the resources that we have to you. What are the 5 languages that you identified?
Spanish, I'm going to have to count them off. Spanish, Chinese, and then that would be the proper Mandarin, Korean, Arabic, and Japanese.
What was your last one?
Japanese. There's a smaller population, but it does meet, the threshold is 5% or 1,000 individuals, whichever's lowest. And the last data that I could find was actually from a few years ago. It was 987. So I'm like, let's bump it up. It meets that criteria. So that's yes.
No, the ADA is a very different anti-discrimination ordinance from the others. And I wonder, I was approached by a friend in the city who is having trouble. Her partner now has Parkinson's, and they're having trouble with the landlord won't do any kind of railing system.
Okay.
What would...
Okay, so I will speak in generalities. Do they live in government subsidized housing or market rate?
I don't know.
Okay, so do they pay, market rate is just a regular apartment community. Government subsidizes any type of government subsidy. Now, if they have a voucher and they use that in a market rate, that's still a market rate community.
Let's say market rate.
Okay, market rate.
Yeah.
Landlords do not have to, well, I would say put in a reasonable modification. If the landlord does not make that adjustment. They don't necessarily have to. There can be reasons why a landlord won't do that. But they could also ask your friend to pay for it. My suggestion is if they're having challenges and if the landlord is not even listening to them or denying their even request for a reasonable modification, I would definitely call the Fair Housing Center and have them do an investigation. And what they'll do is they'll usually bring testers out to test the landlord to see if they're complying with the ADA or with the fair housing.
Yeah,
laws.
it's progressed though, so much so that he can't leave the apartment
Yeah.
because he's much larger than my friend, who's smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even under those circumstances,
Even under those
Wow.
circumstances. Yeah.
There might be some other resources that my organization, Michigan Disability Rights Coalition, can also point them to. One thing is, OSI used to have funding that was specific for older adults around making both sustainability upgrades and accessibility upgrades.
You can also, if the landlord, again, if they make them pay for it, there's also through the Office of Economic Development. You can also, are they older adults?
yes.
As well. Catholic Social Services, older services might have resources as well.
Okay. I will give them all of that info. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I just wanted to say I'm so happy and thankful that you're here, because this literally started as your position started as a conversation at a CODI meeting, where we kind of together were like, we need to have an accessibility coordinator. So I'm just so happy that you're here.
Well, thank you. And it was kind of like coming home, because I have worked with a lot of the commissioners in CODI in one form or another for a number of years. So.
Yeah.
Now, you know that we, under the non-discrimination ordinance, take complaints that have to do with housing, public accommodations, and employment. I don't know for three. And so if you get those,
I will most
Send them to us.
definitely pass them along.
We have
to
had
you,
them
have
in the past.
communication with you.
Yeah.
Now, is it? I'm still learning how commissions are working. Would you like me just to email that to you, Leslie, or to
Probably
Kennedy,
to-
or to the
Kennedy.
the email the?
Yep, and then I can just
HRC.
be put on there too, just so I can.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But I think the cooperation will be wonderful, and we will all learn and do that much better. That's wonderful.
Well, and that's what with our conversation, I said, sometimes you have to have community to be able to help each other out, and that's.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent. Sometimes of my own detriment, but yes, I believe in transparency through and through.
The other thing you might want to know, I was going to do some background information, checking on Tracy, whose name, by the way, there is a country western singer who is the first person who comes up along with the video. It's pretty interesting. But there is, I don't know if somehow I got to an interview that you took with CTN about what she was doing for the Ann Arbor area transportation, and it is very informative, and I'm proud that the city's doing it. I hope somebody has replaced you, who now knows
I
how
think
to
they're
do
still
it.
working on it.
But those are also resources. When we get complaints, there are. The more we know about the city and the resources available, the more we can help. And I thought that was very helpful and very interesting. Lots of training people how to use buses to their advantage, how to use paratransport if they need that. What to do if you got lost. I mean, no, seriously.
Yeah, no problem.
Wonderful. And you said you had 400 training.
Yes. Now during COVID, that was for about 2 years, there was nothing going on. But yes, depending on what interview, I was interviewed with CT on a few different occasions. Yeah, so it just depends on the year. I would do one-on-one trainings, but also would do group trainings. So I might go out with, I limited it to 15 people at a time because the very first time I did a group travel training, I did not realize that 35 people were going to sign up. It was a very interesting training. It was with the residents at Parkway Meadows. There was myself and one other English-speaking person in the group. And it was a very interesting, we did a lot of very appropriate hand gestures to communicate that day, but it was a learning experience for all of us. So at that point in time, I was like, I really need to kind of make sure that I, limit to 15 people at a time, so it's doable. So people are actually getting something out of it, but yeah.
Can I ask you one question? I don't want to use up too much time in this meeting, but same-day paratransit isn't happening anymore.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
And it had
that
something
is
to do with-
considered a premium service.
Right.
And whenever I say this, it pains me when people say, but we're ADA compliant. I'm like, you don't want to set your bar at just being ADA compliant. You want to kind of go over, that's the baseline. And I know this is not off the record, but as a former employee of the ride, I will say that the cost for paratransit had grown. It was astronomical prices. And then to be able to book trips, and I didn't do the booking of trips, so please bear with me how I'm trying to explain this. To be able to keep with on-time performance, sometimes that we took that. That's why sometimes the same day we just couldn't fit that in. But a lot of it had to do with the cost. When I started at the ride, it was about $120,000 a month. Was the price for paratransit. Right before COVID, it was close to $400,000.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
A month?
400,000 a month? And so did we do a private partnership like the city of Detroit? You know how they...
No, but I do believe that the ride is, and don't, I know that this is on record, but please don't quote me on those numbers.
Yeah.
It had grown almost 3 times as much. But it is a contract through MV. MV. At this point in time, I do believe that the ride is exploring options.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Carpenter had come and talked to Kodai at one point in time.
He did.
But I think that they're looking at options for TNCs and Ubers, Lyfts to kind of help with that cost. I know that a lot of larger agencies are doing that, and they have found that by providing other types of transportation, not true ADA, but an ADA client can say, you know what, I do want this paratransit trip, or like, oh no, I can take an Uber, yes, I will take that. Other bigger agencies have found that they've actually saved a lot of money doing that. So I think the ride is
exploring, because like May Mobility, which I think is in Ann Arbor, is contracting with Detroit.
Yeah.
So we work on that contract. So it's been interesting to see what's happening here and there. But anyway, that's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very
Any other questions for Tracy?
I have a quick question. I'm excited because I'm hoping that your position will help inform City Council in our infrastructure plans too. So we have multi-year capital improvement plans, right? And the one thing that I'm thinking of is, like when the city has a commitment to address sidewalk gaps around the city, to increase access and mobility for children, for seniors, anyone who's trying to get to where they need to be. This came up when folks were protesting sidewalk additions along Earhart Road, and Matt Carpenter at AAATA sent a really interesting message. He said people are pedestrians when they come on and off of a bus. And this, he says this because I had asked what does it take, what's required to be ADA accessible at a bus stop. And he's like, a sidewalk would help. So, because if there is no sidewalk and there's a stop, then people are getting on and off the bus in the middle of the street. So there are people in wheelchairs in Ann Arbor getting on and off of the bus in the middle of the street, in the middle of the lane. So it was really helpful to tell neighbors, hopefully you can support this sidewalk, because then people from Glacier Hills, the senior living center, just right down the street, won't have to get,
Right.
on and off the bus in the middle of the street. So this position, I know you're here for, Human Rights Commission is more on discrimination, but it's also really interesting to think about like the investment the city can make towards, increasing accessibility with our partners too, and having that information and prioritizing our budget interests when we try to. It's your position, but then let's say your position will help inform other budgetary needs,
Yes.
I'm hoping, I'm assuming.
I'm hoping as well, and that is where I believe that all of those community partners that I'm contacting, meaning like WISD, Disability Network, that they can help together with their voices to be able to come to council, or just explain this is why we need what we need. It's not just, oh, this would be great, this is what we need. This is and we know that with any type of universal design, you if it's good for a 2-year-old to a 102-year-old, right? That's how you want to design your cities and your streets and things. I don't have any background in planning itself, but I would hope, to answer your question, that I would have a voice at the table to be able to share my thoughts, but also it's not just my thoughts, it's the people that I've been hired to serve as well, the community. So that extending their voices.
Thank you.
You can't be everything everywhere to everyone.
Right.
But yeah, I think that having even some sort of training, which we're going to talk about at some point, I think, me, you, and Laura, for commissioners, where at least one person can be like a disability champion on each commission, like planning, transfer, all of that is a way that you could do it. So even just that person like flagging and saying this issue is something that we should bring up to Kodai, or we need to ask Tracy about, I think is a good way. So that it also takes some of that pressure off of you, because you can't be in every commission meeting all the time.
Oh, goodness, no. There's a lot of commissions. I started looking at it, I'm like, holy cow. I've lived in Ann Arbor for a really long time. I did not realize
no
there
idea.
was
So many. So is there another role like yours at WISD and at Ann Arbor Public Schools or in other local institutions?
I don't know about WISD, but a lot of institutions do have. They may not call them ADA coordinators or accessibility coordinators. They might call them their own, whatever their terminology is. But I'm trying to think as I'm thinking about the people that I know through the schools. I mean, there's advocates. I don't know if they would consider themselves, ADA coordinators, but per se. But I'm making some assumptions there.
Yeah, that's okay.
In schools, but a lot of organizations do have them. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much, Tracy. We will be in touch.
Thank you for having me.
Feel free to call us too.
Thank you, and I wish your friend Alan that they get a thing for their level.
Thank you so much. Good luck in your job.
Thank you very much.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
We need next to approve the October minutes. We have a
I move to approve them.
second.
Second.
Anybody see anything on here that you would like to see changed? If we don't see anything, are you ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one. Thank you.
Did somebody move to accept? Did you need that? No, you don't need that? A motion to accept the minutes? You don't need that. I think we skipped it. Unless you, I just.
We just did it. Oh,
Well, I said, yeah, I mean, I moved to what? To
Okay, now,
accept the
you,
minutes.
and I'll
can-
second, and then
Okay.
we just vote.
okay. All in favor?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's what we did. Okay. Follow up on outside work, city council, Lynn and Aisha. Things that apply to us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not the whole agenda.
I can start with just kind of, the recent conflict in Gaza and Israel. It's obviously had a community impact, right? And it's traumatizing and it's still happening. So there was a meeting with Muslim leaders that Lynn and I went to a few weeks ago. And then I also went to a meeting with Jewish community leaders, and Lynn has been talking to the Jewish community as well throughout this time. And both communities share similar feelings. Like there's this feeling of fear and apprehension, and that they can't identify with their religious identities, safety, issues, anti-Semitic and Islamophobic threats, and just fear about can we get some more, or ask, can we get some more security around our daycares and our community centers and whatnot. Ann Arbor Police has also been involved in some of those conversations, which is great, and I think that they are helping to address some of those concerns. And then what's kind of come out of this is council is thinking about several different steps that we can take to address this at more of a community level without taking an official position on a foreign policy matter, because we make decisions and policy about people's recycling and trash. I mean, let's be honest, we're hyper local. But this is still a human rights issue and it matters. So there is collaboration that's starting on a resolution condemning Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, and just kind of a declaration of unity as a community.
And anti-Arab.
And anti-Arab sentiment. Yep, thank you.
I think we need to go back through the minutes to that meeting where we were asked to do a resolution. You remember that? A few years ago? A couple folks came in. They'd been picketing one of the Jewish synagogues
Yes.
every
Yes,
week.
Yeah.
And they'd asked us to do a resolution. I would just like to look at the wording.
We did not, that was not answered with the resolution.
No, I know we didn't do it.
Okay.
I just want to go back and pull it because, we may be asked again, and I just want to be, mindful, okay, this
Yeah.
is where we draw the line,
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. My meeting was with Eileen Freed of the Jewish American Federation, and she brought it up. She said, I came to Human Rights Commission and I talked about the protests that are happening in front of, I think it's Beth Emet, Temple Beth Emet, or Beth Israel.
Yeah.
And she said that they tried to work through the attorneys, and it basically everything came down to free speech. But some of us are trying to look more into it and see the fact that it's outside a religious institution, that I feel constitutes a threat. But we don't know. I'm not a lawyer. So
It's been there for
it's been years. Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
We had this resolution a year, has that been a year or 2 years now, condemning anti-Asian hate?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a year. Yeah.
So, we figured it'd be, and it was a reflection of something that was passed in the House legislature led by Senator Stephanie Chang. And it was in response to all the anti-Asian hate that we saw in our community here, where folks were coming to us and saying, people are spitting on me as I walk my neighborhood. I've been told to go back to where I come from. I'm being blamed for COVID. It's very purposefully and intentionally xenophobic and racist, right? So, and we're seeing the similar sentiments around the conflict here, and community members are telling us directly that their kids are experiencing it, they themselves are experiencing it, and we just wanted to have a conversation outside of what our police can or cannot do, and what the county sheriff has also weighed in on this too. So, I think the reassurance is that people want to feel like they've been heard, and they know that, no one, policymakers are not looking to Ann Arbor City Council to resolve international conflict, but
Yeah.
the people here in their daily lives are feeling really unsettled.
Yeah.
It's given some comfort, even our comments in response on Monday.
Yeah.
So that was led by the school board president, Rima Mohammed, who is Palestinian. And we've also heard from Jewish leaders too,
Yeah.
who had very, very similar experiences and
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah.
But have we received any complaints?
No,
No?
no, which concerns me. I wrote a note, I don't know if anybody's read it, but I wrote a note suggesting that we look at this at our upcoming strategic planning meeting. And about what is our role in this and how can we contribute? And I think there may be ways we can contribute. I certainly don't want us to not talk about it. We need to at least decide what we want to, what our role should be.
I'll share that the one thing that I said at the Islamic school mosque where we were at was that we had just spent a number of years fighting white supremacy as multiple communities coming together and responding to white supremacy. I really, it's just discouraging and really sad to see communities of color, communities, of struggle, work against each other.
It's really
like
sad,
this.
yeah.
We had a lot of momentum in trying to find some sort of commonality in the struggle, right? And then I don't know what this is in the service of chaos right before a presidential election.
I mean, of
I don't
course.
know, but
Right.
people are feeling hurt. And I just hate this cycle of just having these same hurt over and over again. And we're all supposed to be accountable to each other, in some way. And if we're supposed to be a welcoming, loving, compassionate community, I just don't want to get this lost in like the frenzy on social media is the worst. It's disinformation and misinformation. It's just really divisive.
Yeah.
So whatever we do, I mean, we can have a resolution, we can make a statement, we can talk about it in committee, but I think one thing that Aisha and I are hoping to encourage is that people just get offline and just see each other in person.
That's what I'm trying to do. Because, for me personally, I come from a family that has both Jewish and Muslim family members. And it's an interfaith family, and I have seen, there's arguments happening in my house. And it's, it's really hard then when you go into every other circle that you belong in, and it's the same thing happening over and over and over again. And I think our responsibility as elected officials is just to make sure that people know that it's a safe space, that they're being heard, that if resources are needed, we can do it. But we can't solve it, right? So yeah, I forgot what I was trying to get at, but thank you for bringing that up, because
And it's not,
getting offline, get offline and go meet. That's what I'm trying to get at. Get offline and just go meet. So I was like, do I write something? And then I was like, I'm just gonna call up some Jewish American leaders and be like, can I just talk to you? And they just talked. And I was, Lynn's been doing that for a while. And I was like, it's just so important just to get connected at the community level, because there's so many tropes and stereotypes online, and there's so many generalizations that all this group is this or all this group is this, and it's just so tragic.
I did use one example. I'm on Jewish Family Services Board, so it's a social service agency that's been around for 30 years. A bulk of their work the past couple of years has been resettling refugees, right? And we've
from all over the world,
from all over,
not just
a good
Jewish.
number of
Afghanistani,
Afghan
Everybody.
refugees having halal meats, like a food pantry that's culturally sensitive, responsive, and it's a good example of what can be done in Ann Arbor, on a daily basis, every day, no matter what happens abroad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I guess, do people know of spaces that are hosting these opportunities or conversations? Because I think especially from the university context, people are craving this wildly because of the lack of response, specifically for the Palestinian like harm that's being done and everything. So if there's like additional resources, I'd love to know for like myself to share out, but also for anyone that may be listening, if there's specific organizations or spaces or opportunities that are hosting.
I think folks, I mean, I had a really long call with Rima Muhammad today. Where everyone's looking for someone to host something, and everyone's just so on edge right now. No
Yeah.
one's willing to be that middle ground. So I think we just try to simplify it and be like, just volunteer, reach out to your communities and volunteer.
Okay.
Honestly, volunteer at the food pantry, you know, bring your Jewish colleague, your there's a fellow student in your classroom. I don't know, be in community somehow.
Just be in community.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off of Brandon too, because we're both at the
Yeah.
university and seeing a lot of the same things. And I'm at C's, which is like a super environmentally conscious activist community. I think the students want to get engaged in the community and do some work and want to come into these spaces and support. So I think we have potential collaborators who are willing to take on the organizing. It's just, I think, getting the communication to them. So I'm more than willing to support with that.
And you know, Leslie and I were just talking about this prior to the meeting. One of the things that the Jewish leaders asked before I left was they were saying, is there a way that you can help facilitate a conversation between both communities? And I was like, number one, I don't have those facilitation skills. I mean, even if I do, it's not my place, right? But it got me, I then told them that, you know, you guys find resources, I'll be happy to support. But it got me thinking that maybe a way that Human Rights Commission supports is not that we facilitate those, but maybe we just gather resources of like intergroup dialogue. What's the other one? Dispute Resolution Center, and just like have something on our page or something that we talk about how to have civil discussions about tragedy, right? Across divisions, so that we can see our shared kind of humanity, not to, you know, get up on a soapbox, but I think that is a role that we can play.
The Interfaith Coalition for Peace and Justice,
Yes,
they have a lot of very skilled mediators and,
yes.
yeah,
You do too.
spiritually minded folks, you know.
I will say one of the gaps in all these conversations is trying to find resources for children. I mean, I'm very candid with my children in talking about the conflict because we have a family history to reference, you know, so we can say like, this is similar to what your grandparents experienced, your great grandparents experienced. This is, you know, the tragedies and trauma of war, but how different institutions like public schools, different groups are handling this in not the most elegant way with our kids. So they're resorting to things online. So, you know, if there's a way we can think about, if we're talking about this in community, it'd be helpful if people can figure out how to talk about this within family.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Can we get a working group here to start us off? Maybe organize some of the things that we ought to be talking about in the future, or maybe starting to do them. Maybe interviewing people in those Dispute Resolution Center, Interfaith Council, etc. People interested?
I'm sorry, so can you repeat?
Are people interested in doing this?
I am.
Okay, so we've got Keita, Vanessa, Brandon.
I want to, but I need to like capacity wise, I gotta get it together.
Yeah.
I gotta sustain myself.
We have to email Aiden. Oh my God. We have to keep him on the hook with his responsibility. Like, Aiden, guess what you just got assigned? He'll laugh.
You know, Pam and Sarah aren't here, so.
That's right, and those are part, I'll ask again, don't worry.
But maybe before even gathering resources, why don't just members of this commission just like reach out to the Jewish and Muslim community and just meet with them? And just be like, what's up, what's going on, like, how are you guys feeling?
Is there a way that I could
In the Arab community, yeah, I mean,
like context?
Oh, we have to be a little careful though, like if somebody is going forth as a spokesperson of the you know, once you identify yourself
Yeah.
as a member of the Human Rights Commission, you're sort of speaking for the Human
Yeah.
Rights Commission. So
So
Well, I
share,
think we
share
can
the complaint process then.
Share the complaint
Well,
process.
yes, I think we have to be pretty careful about what we say. and to-
But I think we can say that we're talking about it, we're concerned. How do you feel? What is your group doing?
Right.
What is working, or what do you think would work and what isn't?
What resources do you all have that we
Sure.
can share out? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what Lynn said, let them know if you're experiencing some kind of discrimination,
Yeah.
that you let us know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we can either direct you elsewhere or help if we can. Yeah.
And even though I think the Israeli-Palestinian situation has triggered a lot of things, if you look around, you don't have to look too hard to find lots of conflicting groups, lots of things. We've seen hate toward people like homeless, people who want abortions, need abortions for children, not necessarily in this community, but certainly trans are getting awful lot of. There's a lot of problems with trans people. Hate is just becoming oppressive, scary.
Yeah.
So listen carefully and see what you hear.
I don't want to take up too much more time, but the other thing is ban the box, but I believe we have that a separate, okay. Okay,
It's a
so
separate
that's
one.
it for
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
I don't think we had anything else on Monday's meeting that's HRC related. No, that was
I'm like
really-
searching my brain, but no, I don't think so.
So facial recognition, has anything happened
Oh,
there?
I forwarded you, so I actually do need help. I was very slow on that. So I forwarded the ACLU's recommended text from their bills that I forwarded it to Leslie like a couple hours ago, so that was just very,
I
I'm
didn't
so
see
sorry.
it.
So I'm just really, really behind on this. I'm really, really sorry.
Okay.
As well as the list of cities that have already done this, having a facial recognition ban. So I just basically I really need help just piecing language together from what the city prosecutor has proposed on a resolution versus what the ACLU is recommending as an ordinance based off of what other cities have done. So I'm not a lawyer, so I look at both and I'm just kind of lost on both. So if I could just get some help on some kind of legal feedback and what makes sense, and then come with me to have a meeting with the city prosecutor, because I'm not quite sure what to ask of her once we take a look at both documents. So that's my
Do you want a lawyer from here?
yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, and
You guys might be good at that.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I can help too.
so
can
I sent
definitely-
both documents to Leslie to
lawyers
send
better
on.
I will send it to
Yeah.
you.
Because they
Thank
tore
you.
apart ban the box in a very good way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there still a committee that was working on it? Travis was working on it and?
Sure.
I don't know, and Aiden was on it. but he's
Yeah,
gone
I mean,
now.
we're all
committee is
just
dissolved,
kind of all over the
Okay.
place right now. There's so much. It's been, I feel like things going on.
Okay.
But yes, so I forwarded the materials to Leslie, and if
Okay.
Leslie, if you can help me send it
send
to
it to-
whoever
I will
in the
send it to you
group wants
guys.
to take a look at both texts and
Both
just help me
texts.
weave it together, or
Okay.
you tell me what you've seen makes sense.
And you
or
have
what-
nothing
yeah.
for all practical purposes to.
I mean, I have the
pin it
draft
on.
and I have what the ACLU had sent, you know,
Okay,
so,
good.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to make it into
Make it
one thing.
cohesive.
Have you shown the city attorney what the ACLU sent? I wonder if they would do
I
anything.
have not. That's actually a good
That's a good
question.
idea.
That's a
Send it to
great
Margie.
idea.
Send it to
I
Margie.
mean, see what they do with it first.
Send it to
maybe? I
Mark.
don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've
Yeah.
got staff,
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
with, you know,
Right.
junior
I
lawyers.
don't ever engage with them, so it's just,
Oh,
I
really?
just kind of forget that they do something else besides Gelman Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, because,
Yeah,
Gelman.
yeah.
okay. That's a good, so, but can I CC the
Oh,
group
please,
on that? Just so
yeah.
that I can have
Yeah.
accountable eyes, like
Mm-hmm.
legal eyes to help me get this through, because otherwise, I'm just gonna slow myself down.
I mean, do you
I
want
did-
people to really start looking at it and
Yeah.
doing it?
I
You
do.
guys, I want to
Yeah,
make
and
sure
then
that-
I did also bring this book.
What's that?
It's called Your Face Belongs to Us, and it's about the company that does a lot of the facial recognition.
What's it called?
Your face
Your face belongs to us.
I wanted to repeat the
It
title.
won't even recognize it.
So I
went
brought
to the
this in
clear
case
machine in the
I've only managed to read
airport.
half of it. So if anyone has time and
Like, we don't know what's
interest,
wrong with it.
I'll pass it on too.
Like, I
So
know.
I'm trying to learn how to delegate.
Right,
I do
yeah,
not
I know
learn.
that.
Okay.
Virtual racism.
Yeah, their recommended language. That's the language. So if anyone would like this.
Yes, why don't you leave it?
I'll just leave it here and you can arm wrestle over it because this will help inform.
Well, I have a rock, paper, scissors
Yes.
Okay.
Put together a resume.
Yeah, so my apologies all around. I know everyone's really excited about it. I just dropped the ball.
100%.
I mean, it's a lot of
Not
work.
long.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
disband the box. We did meet about it
You did.
last
Well,
week.
I sent it to you guys, and then you guys asked for a meeting with the attorney, so we had a meeting with the attorney. And what the changes are, so let me just bring folks in. So if you take the non-discrimination ordinance that's been passed out, in section 9:158,
This is just a portion of the non-discrimination ordinance?
Yes.
Just to be clear, this is a portion that has to do with city contractors.
yep,
Okay.
they've added in, criminal background. As well as in section 6. I'm sorry for going too fast.
Section 6, okay.
They've also added it in.
We did not add in criminal background anywhere, except for, it's not a protected class.
It's not a protected class, yeah, it is not a
Okay.
protected class, it
Okay.
just pertains to contracts.
Well, even then, it's just, the only thing it says, and forgive me.
No,
you
no,
mind me
please, no,
saying?
no, yeah.
Okay, is that city contractors whose employees are working on city contracts, when they're hired, the application that they fill out may not have a box asking about their criminal history on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the change. The city already, on their employment applications, does not have the box. And now the city is telling any employer who wants to contract with the city, those employees that are going to work on those contracts for the city.
Who are hired specifically for this contract.
Well, or who, yeah, I mean, we don't know how that works, right? It may be that some of these
But
especially
not
smaller
contracts,
employers
not
might have to
people
take it off their applications altogether because they may not know which of those employees are going to be working on a city contract sometime in the future. So we're essentially telling, I think, these potential city contractors that if they want to have a contract with the city, they have to take that box asking for criminal history off their applications.
Now, they can ask for that information before they make their final decision, but
Right.
way down the process, what they can't do is throw the
They can't use it as a filter.
Immediately after if they want to.
And that exists
Anywhere
with,
down the process.
that also
Anywhere.
exists within the city of Ann Arbor. You know how we
Just can't be on the
have,
application.
we don't ask for legal criminal history, but we can later in the process ask for it.
Yeah.
But essentially, this is gonna apply to any contract over $25,000 that includes like goods, services, or construction. And best value procurement, which is another policy that helps us to identify and like approve procurement with companies that have like good labor practices and pay, a good wage and all that, don't have a bunch of safety violations. That only pertains to construction. So this is a little bit broader.
Yeah.
I mean, there is, we do know that potentially racial discrimination can get worse against especially black and brown men, because then these companies will just assume, okay, we'll discriminate based on names and how they sound, if we can't ask, like, do you have a history? But from what we talked about with the attorneys, like, there'll likely be more benefit than not. And it's a good way to demonstrate our values since, at the state level, we're preempted at the state level from doing this, like, for example, all over the city in businesses. Like, we can never do something like that, at least as of now.
Not yet.
Not yet, right? So, yeah.
Do we anticipate contractors identifying what the requirements were that, correlate with a particular band conviction, with a particular conviction that would disqualify them. You know what I'm saying?
Like, what are the exceptions?
Yeah, like say I did retail fraud, but it's I don't know, it's a construction job. Is there a requirement that it be explained to me, or that there be some,
I mean, when they're finally,
like, to say to me, well, the job requires this kind of activity. And because of that, we're not going to hire you because your conviction somehow implicates or raises these issues of whether you're qualified, right?
I think companies can do that later in the process. That's when they can identify, like, and we can't, have people of X, Y, a type of charges because they would be responsible
I
for
think
this type of duty.
theoretically, they can do it even if there's no relationship.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I just was wondering what we
Yeah.
anticipate.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because that way we could empower applicants,
Right.
to say, listen, push it, ask them what the job entails, that your conviction disqualifies them, what the job entails.
I am
Point of
meeting with,
clarification.
I'm sorry, what?
I just, point of clarification, so I just want to make sure I have this right in the minutes. So for the proposed non-discrimination ordinance change, it is specifically for ban the box.
Ban the box, only extended, so the NDO was not changed, correct? It was only added to the section about contracts.
Right, so the section of on contractors within the non-discrimination
Okay,
ordinance,
so it was changed.
that basically city contractors cannot have
The box.
the box.
The box.
Asking about criminal history.
Okay.
On their employment application.
And that was the only change to the ordinance.
Well, and then,
the ordinance has not
then
been changed yet.
It's
This is
it's
proposal.
qualified, it says, it doesn't limit the right of the city contractor to conduct criminal history background checks later on, to make employment contingent on the successful completion of the results, the contractor's evaluation of results of a criminal background check. It does talk about what Kita said, that I think in advance even, they can notify applicants that that laws and company policies will disqualify an individual with a particular criminal conviction from employment in certain positions based on the requirements of those positions. Things like that, anyway.
So it is
But
for
fund-
proposed changes to the ordinance for
yes.
ban the box.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, we can clarify it when we
Okay.
see what you're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be meeting with Milton so that he can talk to, I forgot with who, but in the different departments, one is procurement and one is something else. Just what implementation of this and how do we then educate contractors
Yeah.
on this? And this is like a change that's happening.
Right.
So I'm hoping this can go to the 20th city council meeting, which is the week after next week, right?
Well, yeah, one problem I see with this is.
I mean, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. As in fast for this policy or like
Yeah.
the meetings coming?
Whoa.
Well, I mean, what do you guys think? Because we did one revision and then we brought it to the
We'd like to
attorney.
see a final revision and have a chance to.
It is.
It is final.
Is this the final one?
This is final.
Okay,
This is the
well,
only
then I
one.
haven't,
Yeah.
and you should. we
The
should-
one question, I haven't really thought this through, but, so city contractors have already hired, right? And,
It's not like retroactive though,
right, so it's,
moving forward.
okay, so it's in the future when they're hiring, but they may have employees who
Yeah.
did have to check the box.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess what I'd ask is that everyone look at it between now and like, honestly, I would need it by, Lynn, when is it, like the Wednesday before?
I mean, the sooner we can get it to the
Yeah.
city staff, and then other council members can review and submit questions.
Yeah.
So the city staff will publish a memo the Wednesday before a Monday meeting, answering all of city council's questions on the agenda, from the agenda, so like.
So really,
Friday.
Four of us are going to meet tomorrow
Yeah.
and we can talk about it.
so really like by Friday of this week.
Friday. yeah.
Because this is something that I'm sure council members will want to submit questions on and
Yeah.
they should be given that opportunity. So are you guys understanding the timeline? Like by
Yeah.
this Friday, let me know if there's any other changes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
it's,
I've
you
already-
know,
I've looked at it, it looks fine to me.
yeah, the city
Okay.
attorney made the changes that we suggested. so,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And
that
this
sounds
is the
good.
final. Right.
This is the
Yeah,
final.
and the only thing that's changed
Yeah.
is that section 6 there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they took out the protected class, which was our
Yeah.
big concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, everyone. So I'm just going to forward it on then to the clerk and say, add this
That's
to the
fine.
agenda.
with
Okay.
me, I don't know anybody.
I haven't read it yet. I had like, I'll tell you tomorrow.
Okay, tell me tomorrow. That's fine. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Where are we on the agenda?
Sorry, I think we got lost.
No, so we're done, huh?
We're on follow-up.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
Statutory
done.
changes along. Ordinance changes, that'd be great.
Where are we in the agenda? Are we like at
Okay.
the beginning?
Mhm.
So you, Lynn, am I right in, oh no, we did facial recognition also. Okay.
I forgot about something though. I don't know where it fits in the agenda. There's state legislators at this meeting that we had at the Islamic Center had
Yeah.
said that they're working on additional hate crimes
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
legislation
Mhm,
in
mhm.
response to. So, but I haven't tracked it.
I think it's stalled, and there's
Oh.
something about Jeremy Moss wanting to put it forward versus someone else.
In the
Okay,
state
sorry.
legislature?
Yeah, so it's in the Senate, right?
I don't
It's all in
know.
the
There's
Senate?
additional hate crimes measures being considered in the state legislature right now.
Yeah, and there's another bill about giving increased funding to religious
Of
institutions.
religious institutions.
Yeah, and from what I understand, that's also been installed, but that's just something that should be on our radar.
Security for.
Yeah,
religious.
security for religious.
So, I guess not in, just in the general awareness that that's something that's being, maybe we can track later on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah.
Follow up on HRC work. First thing would be trespass.
It's commissioner open position
Oh,
update.
I think.
I know, remember we had a,
added-
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just take a second, I just wanted
No,
everyone
you're
to
good.
know
I
that
have it.
some of us who had worked on revising the trespass notice are going to meet virtually with the new interim police chief, Patrick McGuire, since he was the one who helped us make it happen, just to see, since it's now in use, how it's going, and to see whether they've actually, and how they've amended the policies and procedures to educate the police officers on the new form and how to make it work. So we're meeting with him on the 16th. I just wanted to let you know.
we will try to get data.
Yeah.
We'll get, or begin data collection on this trespass policy. Commission open position, there is an open position. We've got a number of, about 4, I think, applications, and we will be talking about them this week. Hopefully, one of them will work, and we will fill this open position quickly. Complaints, Judah?
Let's see. Had a reiteration of a prior complaint, without getting into details, but the original complaint didn't really have enough information to go on as far as whether we even had jurisdiction to proceed. So I responded to the complainant saying, please provide, give me a call, or we can set up a meeting, and never heard back. But then did hear back with a reiteration of the complaint. Similarly to my reading, still had all the same questions. So I responded again saying, get in touch with me, we'll set up a meeting or a call. Haven't heard back. So if I don't hear back shortly, I'll send a letter saying it's closed for now until we, get more information. And then just this evening, I have a new complaint, but that one again, we'll need to discuss, probably review with city attorney as to whether this commission has any jurisdiction to review the matter, because there's at least 5 jurisdictional questions come to my mind. And so, other than that,
We have at least, I think, 3 other open
That-
ongoing
that are
cases.
pending, yes.
One
At least
I
and
believe
one
there's-
closed.
right,
Yeah,
the one that you just,
we're still working on.
Still working on
And
it,
then,
right.
and then Pam has one, and
Yeah.
Rita's finishing one, yeah.
And we have,
so there's, 3 that are ongoing,
Right.
Yeah.
and then the 2 that are still in COA.
right, gotcha, at least. Okay. strategic planning effort, we talked about a little bit before. We've got a few people interested. We'll see if we can get more people. Probably, I'm thinking February. I don't think we're going to be able to do it by December. And it would be nice to have everybody at least have one meeting under their belt before we go into strategic planning. And it's getting to be the busiest time of the year, so we're not doing it now, but maybe February. Meeting calendar for 2024. People look this over?
Just want to make you all aware, so for the April meeting, that is on April 10th. That is a recommended observed holiday with the city of Ann Arbor. It is, and I might be pronouncing this wrong, so forgive me, Eid al-Fitr. So that is on the day of one of our scheduled meetings. We are able to cancel that meeting, or we may reschedule the meeting for a different day, which then means we may not have this meeting space, depending on the availability of when we would be able to meet.
Should we schedule that?
I think we should schedule that.
Reschedule,
We
yeah.
can, yes, reschedule.
Yeah.
We could always
You can always cancel.
cancel, but it's easier to. And that is April.
Yep.
In the past, people have said that they tended to be free at this time. When we rescheduled, we often rescheduled it a week before or after.
Do you have the calendar for available times for this room?
It would,
I can pull it up.
Is there another one in
Okay.
April?
17th would be the date for if we wanted it for Wednesday night again.
I will double check.
Yeah, those lunar holidays will drive you crazy.
And you said the 17th?
Yes.
Yes, on the 17th, there is another meeting that will be held in the room from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m.
What do you think, people? Is that where you want it? Huh?
The room is unavailable.
Oh, it's unavailable.
It's unavailable.
What about the previous Wednesday?
Yeah, the week
The
before.
third? The third?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Easter?
Isn't that the weekend right before Easter or after?
Easter is Easter Memorial. Easter Monday is the 1st.
Okay, so it's right after Easter.
After
Okay.
Easter.
Okay.
On the 3rd, the room is also booked.
Wow.
Can we go into a different room?
What about Chambers?
Yeah, well, chambers or the workroom?
So,
Yeah, maybe.
like council
But then it can't
chambers?
be
Yeah,
changed.
like we used to.
That's right, we
do.
need chambers, I guess.
Why can't we be, because of video cameras?
So for the 17th,
Yeah.
council chambers would be available. For the 3rd, council chambers would be available. So
What do you think?
it could be the 3rd or the 17th.
Another suggestion is, I don't know if we want to wait till April to do the strategic planning, but we could make that not a tape meeting and just do it in April
Well,
sometime.
we could.
Like on a weekend or whatever.
But this is April.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to wait that long. You
Yeah.
were saying February.
I think we should
this is-
schedule it, and this might be something
Okay,
we,
okay.
That's what I wanted you to know. I'm leaving for Hawaii again.
oh,
So
good.
January and
Good for you.
February. So for me, either toward the end of February
So
or
you're going in
March.
March.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or I won't make the.
okay, well, we want you
Yeah.
there,
Mhm.
if we can. I don't know, would you be comfortable scheduling it? This is a placeholder.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you're squeezing either the meeting before or the meeting
Yeah.
after, so it's really 6 of one, half dozen of
Right,
the other, as
right.
far as I can tell.
Right. It probably is pretty much. It's on the 13th in March, so it's already it's already squeezed.
Either way, it's going to be a 3-week gap on either with the March one or the May one, right? If you do it a week early, you're
Yes,
Right.
yes, you're right.
so
You're probably right.
you can't win.
Okay.
But the council chambers is available on April 3rd and
Right.
April
It
17th
could be either one.
from 7 to 9, if you like.
I vote for the 3rd, but I will defer.
Third.
Remember, it's right after Easter. I don't know if that makes a difference for anybody.
Affect me.
Okay.
So you want the 3rd?
Well, I mean, that's just my vote. I
I'm
do
wrong.
have something on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, but I can miss it if I have to.
Okay,
Yeah, we're talking about April 3rd,
okay.
as far as I can tell. Sure.
Okay, so I will.
We may
move-
have, yeah,
I will move the meeting that was scheduled for April 10th to April 3rd in council chambers
okay,
from 7 PM to 9 PM.
okay.
Thank you.
Now, we have a similar problem perhaps in February, on the 14th of February, which have, well, it's Valentine's Day, some people, it is also a day, I know I probably
Get
will not be
romantic at
here.
HRC.
Bring a little hearts for all of you. Little chocolate.
I will
rights
make
law.
We can give each other Valentine's.
We won't get as many.
Get it all on camera.
Some people might be watching us as like their date night.
Exactly.
Bring them here. Bring
Hey,
them
all
here.
the,
Just bring.
Oh
just
my
bring-
God.
Yeah.
All the commission
Celebrate
mates will be
Valentine's
right
Day.
Fountain.
I
Chocolate
will-
fondue and complaints.
I will make a note that
Valentine's and complaints.
Look,
I will make a note.
community
Valentine's
engagement.
Day is not an observed holiday by the state. So, just a note.
Okay.
Making sure I love
So do you
human
want to
rights.
keep, you want to keep the 14th? Everybody?
Yes.
Okay. But you're going to be here, right? Because
As far as I know. If I'm not here, it's not because of Valentine's.
I'm
Okay,
trying to show my love for y'all.
Can
and
you
human
just be
rights,
sure to
y'all.
make a note?
I
I won't
usually
be
just
here
take
for
my
the
kids
February
to
14th.
Applebee's.
Okay.
Or January 10th. I should be gone by then.
Yeah,
Good for
have
you.
all appetizing.
Just living your
You
best
know?
life.
Yeah,
That's
take 'em at night.
Where in,
Yeah.
where in Hawaii do you go?
Camuela is on Big Island. Sort of like right in the middle, about a 20-minute bike ride from the coast.
What a
so
life.
beautiful.
I wouldn't even come back.
You know, like what's great is I don't have to pay the mortgage, which is like excessive, you know. Everything is so expensive in Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
Just go and watch their grandchild.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool trade.
Good for you.
Take mine. Have my
Well,
I actually have an extra thing
Okay.
before we end. A couple of years ago, you took a tour of the jail, I recall.
Yes.
Right. But the jail's not in Ann Arbor proper.
no, it's Washington County Jail. It's not the Ann Arbor Jail, it's Washington County Jail.
No, I know, but I'm saying that that jail is in Pittsfield, I think.
Correct.
Can we
Yes.
still, do we have any interaction with that, with the sheriff's jail?
Sure.
Okay, because with the election coming up, I thought it might be an interesting time to really look at special population human rights.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't do anything with folks that are incarcerated or
Oh, I see what you're saying.
folks in nursing homes, you know.
Yeah.
We,
For
I don't think we have jurisdiction in the jail.
Okay.
We have looked at that before.
Okay.
How did it evolve that you ended up doing the tour there then? What was the relationship that
It's
was?
a good question. And it was,
I can't speak for the sheriff, but I imagine that they would be happy to host us
oh,
if
they
we
would.
wanted a tour.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
They love doing
right.
it.
and so,
And
you know,
it's a
just for our own edification,
Point of
whether we have
order.
jurisdiction.
Point of
or not.
order.
Point of order. Before we move forward, we do need a motion to approve the calendar.
Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank
Motion
you
to
so
approve the
much.
calendar as amended.
Second. Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. So are you suggesting a tour of the jail just for our?
I am, and I'm also thinking maybe it's an opportune time because the sheriff, the sitting sheriff is leaving, he's
Yes.
retiring. We're gonna have a new sheriff.
Yes.
So if we had thoughts about human rights and special populations, it would be a great time to, you know, raise them, right? I've been
Yeah.
spending more time doing IDs with the kids across the parking lot because you need a government-issued ID to take a GED exam, believe it or not, and they don't have it.
Good.
and the dichotomy between the adult environment and the juvenile environment, it won't surprise anyone, but you begin to think. Adults need, that's the same kind of, a lot of adults need the same kind of training, skills training, and employment, right, skills, and I just don't know what's there, and I began to think, and I had seen things that might make for an interesting sort of list of what would we think if we were going into a nursing home, for instance. Do you remember the issues that arose around COVID and folks in nursing homes?
And in jails.
And in
Yes.
jails. I'm just saying the special population human rights might be something to talk about, maybe at the strategic plan,
Okay.
right? And then the second thing is the ID, the Washtenaw County ID is going to be 10, 2025. We've just developed an app, which I'm going to provide to one of the folks that filed a complaint, because the app will allow people to make note immediately of should the ID be rejected. And it'll send me an email and then whoever else we want.
That's a great idea.
That is a good idea, yeah.
But I would like to do like an Ann Arbor, like official day, so we
Yeah.
could get
Yeah.
everyone that
Little
works,
PR.
right,
Yeah.
the city, and really want you guys to support it and come and get your ID.
Okay,
And when you are carded, show that ID, right? To get people used to seeing it and to explain then what it is, so that we take that weight off of folks, whose only ID is that ID.
I wonder if,
Right.
I know this is a countywide thing, but I wonder if city communications would be comfortable putting something in there. I get the email, the
Yeah.
newsletter.
And because the office of the county clerk is in Ann Arbor,
Right,
Ann Arbor has always been sort of the site of
yeah.
everything that
Yeah.
we've ever done. So it's been a lot of Ann Arbor outreach,
Yeah.
really, to be honest. I've just been going to Ypsi Township and Ypsi City more these last couple of years, but, just to show of support. I think if we were to get all the commissioners,
Yeah,
right,
sure.
maybe we could do that.
to come.
You
throw their
don't have a
idea.
date on that yet, do you?
Yeah.
Do you have a date on that?
No, I wanted to
Okay.
just
Yeah.
make sure everyone thought it was a good idea, that
Great
you'd be
idea.
willing to
Okay.
participate.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sure. Great idea. Great
Okay,
idea.
that's a good
Thank you.
idea. And you want a jail tour?
More than a tour. I would like to sit down and
Yes.
maybe talk about,
That's part of the tour.
Well, let's wait until after the strategic planning, so we have a plan for it.
I agree,
Yeah.
I agree, we gotta fit
Yeah,
it in.
that's a good idea.
Or we can invite the sheriff here, maybe, and
We can do that too.
do an exit interview.
But I think it'd help to see the jail. It's fascinating tour.
Yes.
And they love doing it, and they love
And-
talking afterwards.
If someone is picked up in Ann Arbor, right,
Yeah.
and taken to the jail,
That's what happens.
that, I would think, at least the arrest portion would fall within our purview, right?
Yeah,
But the incarceration portion wouldn't, is that it?
right.
Okay.
But-
Well, when you
but
say
know,
hour, I would
we-
say o'clock.
But there are things we can do.
Yeah.
And knowing about it helps, because it helps to know, if nothing else, where to refer them.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, now if we have time for commissioner communications, if anybody wants to communicate anything they're doing, or an event, or something they want us all to know about. I don't see anything. Therefore, yes?
I can't help it, I'm really sorry. So there's just been so much going on.
Yes.
If you see a county commissioner, please thank them. They voted on, it's like 2 weeks ago, on $2 million towards a housing plan. I think, over the past year, it's been kind of this constant budget amendment and trying to see see towards eviction avoidance relief funding, emergency shelter funding. So they actually put cash to make sure that our warming shelters are fully funded.
Thank
The
goodness.
Delana Center won't have to fundraise for the remainder of the year. They will be funded to do what they
That
can.
is excellent.
So it's $2 million. It's a really, really big deal. They're calling it the immediate impact package, and part of that money will also go towards actually cash payments. So it's sort of kind of like a guaranteed income program. So they're giving, I think it was like $600 if you have a family, $400 if you don't, a month for a certain number of families, and just trying to get them to.
Is this separate from the U of M program?
Yeah, this is separate from the one you were.
This is separate from the one that I had championed and budgeted from ARPA funding,
Wow.
and that U of M
Wow.
is putting out. So those applications are still open for the guaranteed income program. That
That's great.
Yeah.
So if you see a county
Unexpected.
commissioner, just, I don't know, at Kroger's or something, you just thank them.
Don't throw
because-
food at them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really, really big deal because
That's a huge
the
deal.
warming shelter schedule is coming out. And then if you see faith leaders in town, for them to extend their congregate spaces
Yeah.
again under a lot of expense, because there's a significant damage that happens in these spaces every year that the congregations take on and they fundraise and cover the costs themselves. One Councilmember Watson is the treasurer for St. Andrews, and he said I think they incurred thousands of dollars of damage in their bathrooms.
Wow.
So outside of what the county funds, what the city tries to fund, and then our faith institutions like serve our struggling community members on a regular basis. There's this coordinated effort that I really feel needs to be recognized if we talk about housing as a human right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great
Yes.
update.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Can we have
I move to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Isn't he like an actor?
Please do not take your name.